welcome to Practical Energy Insights Live. My name is Jonathan Paulette. Today is January 25th, 2026. This is going to be early. It's like 9, I don't know, 5:30 in the morning on Sunday here in the Middle East. But I just wanted to talk about some of the interesting updates that are going on with Iran. I'm going to do another one later today, I think, in more detail. But what the United States appears to be trying to achieve in Iran and what it could mean for oil and gas, the Straits of Hormuz, and regional stability. So let's get into it. If you have questions, use this format so I can answer fast. Curious if you're in the oil and gas industry. What's your role? What country you live or work in, the years of experience, and then your goal. Put that all in one sentence. For example, drilling engineer, India, 5 years, want Qatar, how do I get hired? And then I'll understand if I can answer any of your questions. But today is going to be about Iran. I work internationally in oil and gas. I'm currently in the Middle East. I focus on geopolitics through the energy lens. And I also offer paid one-on-one career calls plus remote operational consulting for teams. So what changed this week? The simple summary. Iran is dealing with major unrest and a violent crackdown, and the United States is increasing pressure while moving major military assets towards the region. The region is reacting in real time with airlines rerouting and governments issuing alerts. So let's talk about Iran first. Protests surged after a currency collapse and broader frustration. Then the state responded with heavy force. The death toll is disputed and politicized. Iranian state-aligned reporting has put the number in the low thousands, while activists and some international reporting suggest numbers that are much higher. I've heard as high as 20,000. A United Nations rapporteur has suggested that the true number may be far higher than what the government has acknowledged, which makes sense. You've got a regime that's in power. They killed, 10,000 people. They're going to say, oh, it was only a few hundred. So I guess the point is not the exact number. The point is that the crackdown has been described as severe, and that drives international pressure and raises the risk of escalation. But it's also interesting that a government would kill its own citizens. It just goes to show you that they are only in power for themselves and not for the people. So do you think this protest wave is still alive under the surface, or do you think the government has somehow suppressed it? I'd be curious to know what you think in the chat. So what's the United States posture and likely objectives? What the United States is doing and why. Based on the latest mainstream reporting, the United States has moved major naval power towards the region, including the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, and the public messaging from Washington has mixed deterrence with ambiguity. There have been public statements about an armada heading towards the Middle East, and paired with language that the United States is watching closely. So objectives in plain language, I see 3 possible United States objectives that can coexist. One, you've got coercion, basically pressure Iran's leadership to stop mass repression and at least reduce it by convincing them there's a real cost if the crackdown continues or if executions escalate. I think the second objective is containment. Keep Iran boxed in regionally, reduce its ability to project power through proxies such as Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, and maintain deterrence to protect U.S. forces and partners. And the third objective, maybe leverage for a deal or leverage for change, create enough pressure that Iran either comes back to the table on terms favorable to Washington or the regime fractures internally. Washington does not have to say regime change out loud for the policy to function like that. So the hard truth is that the United States does not want a full-scale regional war. I don't think that's going to be their objective. I don't think the American population would be in favor of that, but it does want Iran to believe war is possible if Iran crosses certain red lines, and that's how deterrence works. So what do you think the United States is really aiming for? A deal, regime fracture, or a limited strike to set Iran back? I see some comments maybe in Arabic. Unfortunately, I don't speak Arabic, so I can't answer your questions if you have some, but appreciate you commenting. So thank you for that. Iran's posture right now is defiance plus warning. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard messaging has been blunt, essentially saying that they are on high alert and ready, and Iranian officials have framed any attack as an all-out war scenario. This is classic deterrence messaging. If you hit us, we will widen the fight and you will not control the timeline, which is very possible. I mean, any battle plan is only as good as the first attack, and then after that, it's just going to kind of go whatever way it's going to go. There's no way to control it. Also, remember, Iran's best leverage is asymmetric, so Iran cannot put out anything that's going to match the United States in conventional power. It's just not realistic. But it can raise the cost through missiles, drones, proxies, shipping disruptions, especially through the Straits of Hormuz, and regional pressure. One of the most practical indicators of perceived risk is aviation and embassy behavior. We are seeing airlines avoiding large parts of the Middle East airspace and suspending service to multiple destinations, described as precautionary moves in response to rising tensions. We have also United States official alerts urging citizens to leave Iran immediately, with notes that airlines have limited or canceled flights to and from Iran. So this matters because it tells you the risk managers are acting like something could change quickly, even if nothing has happened yet. If you live in the region, what are you seeing locally? Any changes in travel, security posture, or company guidance? Me personally, I am in the Middle East, so I am watching this situation closely. It not only affects me personally, but people that I know in the region, so I want to know what's going on. There's obviously an energy risk. We have the Straits of Hormuz and disruption scenarios. The energy piece, because this is where the world feels it. So the Straits of Hormuz is the pressure point. It's a huge portion of global crude, and a major share of liquefied natural gas flows through, and that depends on safe passage through that corridor. So the disruption spectrum looks like this. Scenario one, just signaling. You've got the Iran threatens closures. Markets price in some fear. Maybe you see some insurance prices go up, shipping slows a bit, oil prices jump, then fade if nothing physical happens. Second scenario, you get drones or small boat activity, seizures, maybe some mines in the Straits, not a total closure, but enough to kind of choke or slow traffic, and this spikes prices because traders fear the next step. And the step three would be attempted closure. You get mines, anti-ship missiles, attacks, and a real effort to halt traffic. In that case, you're looking at a shock that hits crude products and LNG, and it impacts everything from inflation to airline tickets to shipping. So the United States Navy and allies would work to keep the straits open, but even a short disruption can have outsized effects. Scenario four, you get regional spillover. Proxy attacks expand across Iraq and Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and Gulf infrastructure. And suddenly the issue is not just Hormuz, it is a widespread risk to energy facilities and logistics. I think an important note here is that markets can move on perceived risk well before actual disruption, and the headlines can move the price first. The physical reality follows later, if it does at all. So what would you watch as the first sign of real energy disruption? Would it be tanker routing, insurance, port slowdowns, actual outages? Let me know in the comments. Next thing I'm quite interested in and watching is the Ayatollah killed scenario. There's a martyrdom risk and second order effects. So let's address that. The people are maybe thinking this, but not always saying it out loud. What if Iran's leader, the Ayatollah, were actually to be killed in a US intervention? This is a scenario that's incredibly dangerous because the outcome is not automatically regime collapse, and it can go either way. There's the martyr effect in a religious revolutionary system. A leader killed by a foreign adversary can become a symbol, a martyr. And that can unify factions that were previously divided. So It can also energize hardliners and extremists who use the death as proof that the West is at war with their faith, not just their government. And that can produce a surge of recruitment, revenge attacks, and long-term radicalization. So there's some definitely real risk there. There's also a legitimacy transfer. Even if many Iranians oppose the regime, an external killing can shift the narrative from internal accountability to external aggression. That can reduce space for opposition movements, and because the state frames dissent as collaboration with an enemy, it can create serious issues. Succession chaos. Iran has internal power structures, religious authorities, the Revolutionary Guard, political factions. A sudden decapitation can trigger infighting, or it can trigger consolidation under the Guard. Either path can increase instability. There's a pressure escalation factor. A leadership killing creates intense pressure for retaliation. The regime or the Guard may feel they must respond dramatically to avoid looking weak, and that raises the risk of the Straits of Hormuz disruption, strikes on regional bases, or proxy escalation. I wonder about the proxy escalation, though, since potentially the funds might be difficult to move around. So yes, martyrdom is a very real risk. If someone thinks removing the leader ends the problem, history will suggest that could just change the problem and sometimes make it worse. Look at Libya, look at Iraq. There's definitely many examples of where that has gone wrong. So if tensions rise, how does that affect oil and gas careers in the region? The first impact is uncertainty. Companies tighten travel, maybe delay projects, and focus on asset protection and continuity. That can slow hirings short term. If prices rise and producers ramp production activity, you can see increased demand elsewhere, and sometimes even in the Gulf, because operators push production, maintenance, reliability, and security. The roles that often may stay resilient in uncertain times are operations, maintenance, and operational integrity, health and safety, process safety controls, and crisis readiness. So it's conflict in the region definitely could affect jobs. I'm in the Middle East, so I'm very, very mindful and aware of what's going on. So I do offer a paid one-on-one career call. If that is something that you're interested in, you're looking for work in the oil and gas sector, you can drop a comment, careers, and leave me a message. And I also do remote operational consulting for managers and companies, drilling performance, barrier management, contractor alignment, decision and support, maybe some KPI alerts. And if you want that, comment ops and message me the operation, the problem, and what success looks like. So that's it for the live today. I just wanted to do a quick update. I appreciate everybody that has joined me in the chat. And make sure you follow and subscribe if you want more of these. I will do regular lives. And last call to drop your role, your country, years, goal, and your Iranian question in one sentence, and I will answer it now. All right, appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your day. It's Sunday, January 25th, I guess. And I wish you a good weekend. I'm hoping that nothing will happen now. Donald Trump typically doesn't like to do anything that's going to affect markets. And I think if there was an attack today, it would affect markets tomorrow. So he would wait until maybe a Friday rather than today. So we'll see. Hard to say. And we're not really sure where all that hardware is yet, if it's in the Gulf or if it's still en route. And once it gets here, things could liven up and get pretty interesting. So stay safe, take care. Thanks for watching.